Greetings, everyone. This is Joseph, and you are experiencing the 5-minute gospel. In fact, if you don't like it, the next 5 minutes are free. So why am I sharing this? Each day, each Sunday, we share in a discussion at LifeSource. And this is the discussion we had today. And it was brought to us by Pastor Linda Gruel. Now, so what did we discuss? We talked about the problem and the concern over the issue of death. We talked about how painful it is when babies die. We talked about how painful it is when people we love are taken from us. Heck, we talked about how we spend billions of dollars, even committing hundreds of millions of abortions to try to figure out ways to avoid death and to continue to be healthy and continue to be restored. We spend billions of dollars on all kinds of weeds and herbs and food compounds. We spend hundreds of billions of dollars on creams and gym memberships and Viagras and Cialises and hair growth and facial cleansing and reconstruction and even on surgery, all in the goal of trying to avoid dying and death and even the appearance of sickness. Well, the truth is that because of sin that destroys everything in existence, we can't avoid death. No one can, and nothing can. The Bible tells us that since the beginning, since the fall, since Adam and Eve first ate the forbidden fruit, everything has been in the throes of collapse. Everything has been in the throes of corruption. And here's the great news. Science bears that out as far out as we can see out into the universe, all the way back down to the very cells that manage the growth of everything, every carbon-based life form and every other life form that we know of. Everything is in the throes of winding down one way or another. So, all that having been said, why am I sharing with you all this bad news? Because I have really good news. And that really good news is John chapter 11, beginning at verse 1, where Jesus learns that his friend Lazarus is sick. Jesus, the Christ, learns that his friend Lazarus is not well. And he says, well, Lazarus has a sickness that really shouldn't kill him. But here's what happens. Lazarus dies while Jesus is hanging with his disciples and sharing. So what does Jesus do? He takes his disciples and he goes to visit Lazarus' family, and they are totally broken up. So then Jesus does something amazing, something not repeated in all of human history, not ever. He goes to the tomb of Lazarus, where the body has been sitting, stored in heat for over 4 days. Lazarus is a collapsing, rotting mess. But Jesus says, open up the grave, open up the tomb. And he orders Lazarus to come out by name. Lazarus makes his way out, pretty much hopping out because he's in his grave clothes. And Jesus says, loose him. In other words, release him from the grave clothes. That, folks, is something that's unbelievable. Nobody's ever done that before or since. So what's the point of that? The point is that there is only the God of the universe who gives and sustains and even restores from total corruption anything and everything from death. Now, here's the really best news in that little discussion. We were all reminded that because God loves us, he sent Jesus to restore us from not just the punishment for sin, but to restore us to life. That is the meaning of that little section of John 3:16 that says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that anyone who believes on him, who chooses a relationship with him, shall not perish, shall not see death, or at least not die eternally, but shall have everlasting life. What does that mean? Here's an example. There was this guy named Job way back when, one of the earliest people ever mentioned in the Bible. He says this, let me start that again. Job says, I know my Redeemer lives, and even though worms shall eat my flesh and I will rot and die and my body will turn to dust, as all human bodies do, as everything does over time. Even though that happens, I will see him with my own eyes. I will see my Redeemer with my own eyes and not another. The point of that is Job knew all the way back then that the day was coming when God would completely restore him to life whenever he died. That the God of the universe has the power to restore life without these bodies, without this suffering, without this fighting, without all the gym memberships and all the pills and the herbs and the oils and the creams and the surgeries, and without killing babies to get their genes to try to figure out how to live longer. God loves you. And this is your opportunity to stop worrying about death, to stop worrying about how you're going to live longer. God doesn't want you to worry about that, because no matter where you are, God alone, not medicines, not all the things you're going to do to try to keep yourself alive, God alone creates, ordains, and restores life. And he sustains it too. So that even when doctors tell you you're supposed to die, God is capable of restoring you. Think about that. This is Joseph, and this has been the 5-Minute Gospel. Thanks for listening.